Hello friends, welcome or rather welcome back. This is Dr. Rohit from Rohit International Training Academy. We have started our enrollments for the personal management course. This video is a free session for you all to decide whether you want to enroll with us or not. The topic of this video is decision making. And thank you for watching my videos and subscribing to my channel. I'm amazed and totally surprised by the views I'm getting. Thank you all. So let's start with the video. The video topic is decision making. How important is decision making in your life? So let's talk about process of decision making. Rita, Rohit International Training Academy. Rohit International Training Academy. So let's talk about the process of decision making. First of all, what we're going to learn about is what is a decision, the various definitions, then the process, how to choose alternatives, how to make alternatives, the consequences of decision making, the biases which are involved in the decision making, what all difficulties we face in decision making. Further, we'll be learning more about the theories of the decision making. Then we'll learn about the various models of decision making. Then we'll learn about what all difficulties we face in making decisions, personal bias, influences, everything will be contained in this video. So this video is helpful for everyone, right from the student age, for a professional, and for the people who are working as a manager or working as an administrator or working at some level where they have to take decisions. Let's talk about decision. This weekend is going to be a nice Saturday and Sunday. What about the plans? Where are you going is a decision. And if you're not going is also a decision. So if you're not going anywhere, you will be sitting at your own place and doing nothing. Time will decide for you. So indecision is also a decision. So take your decision wisely, spend your weekend wisely. If you have money in your pocket, decide where you want to go, watch a movie, go out to a restaurant, or spend the evening somewhere out, or go out with your friends for a picnic. So that's all for you to decide. So this is the decision making, and the alternatives are like going out for a movie, going out to a restaurant, going out for a picnic, going out for camping. These are all the alternatives. So what are you going to decide in decision making is you will choose every alternative. You will check every alternative, which one is feasible. If it's raining, going out for a picnic is not a good idea. You might be stuck somewhere. If it's good weather, you can go out for a picnic. If it's if there is no electricity, it's better you go out, watch a movie somewhere in the theater. If there is a lot of problem with your kitchen, then you can go out and go to a restaurant and eat something good. So that's all we decide. That's all the deciding factors. The situation also decides about the decision. So before talking with this, it's a very simple scenario which I gave you. Now another scenario which I want to give you is that suppose it's an interview where there's a lady who sits, there's an HR, as we can say there's a recruitment manager who takes the interview. So this lady sits in front of the interviewer and sits and say, she's been asked to give 2 positive qualities about her. The first quality she states is, I am a very strong woman. I do not listen to anyone, and I always have, you can say, I am a short-tempered person. The second quality about her she describes is that, well, when I'm stuck with a work, I'll do that work completely. I will not get up without doing that work. And straight away, the interviewer decides not to take her. When asked, the interviewer says that my job requirement for which you gave the interview is that we want a person who is cool person, who is not short-tempered, who knows about the work, who doesn't spend much of the time doing a single work if stuck. We like people who can do multitasking. We like people who can handle situations. We like people who are manipulative. We like people who are smart. We like people who can be fit into 2 or 3 roles. And we don't want people who are strong. We want people who are intelligent, smart, and who are working and who are workaholic. So this is what makes a difference, where the decision is being made by the manager and the HR. So this is how what you say makes a lot of difference. How you behave makes a lot of difference in the organization and in every aspect of life. So decision making plays a very important role. So let's talk with this. Let's start with the session now, where we talk more about the decision making, the process of decision making, the various techniques which are involved in the decision making, the various factors which affect the decision making, and personal bias is always one of them. And what are the various definitions of decision making? How do I go with the decision making? How do I develop alternatives? What can I see if I'm making a decision? What is the thing which I have to foresee is that if I implement a decision, what will be the consequences? What are going to be the action? And how I'm going to deal with that? So a very small example, if I'm the 10th grade, if I clear my 10th grade, I will have a problem. That is, the next problem will be clearing my 11th grade or passing my 11th grade. And if I pass my 11th grade, the problem will be much bigger. That will be passing my 12th grade. So one problem solution gives rise to another problem. So this is how decision making should be taken, foreseeing about the situation, and decisions should be taken. So this very small example. Now let's start with our process of decision making. Before starting with this, I'll be just giving you all a session about my slides and my views about decision making, where I'll give you some study material to study. So let's start with the decision making. Well, the first thing about decision making, let's talk about a few definitions, where Terry says the selection of one behavior alternative from two or more behavior alternatives. So decision is the selection of one behavior alternative from two or more behavior alternatives. Let's talk about the second thing, where Webster says the act of determining one's own mind upon an opinion or course of action. So it's the act of determining one's own mind upon an opinion or a course of action. So it's all of my friends have decided to go out for camping. They have asked me whether I'm ready to go out for camping on this weekend. So it is the act of determining one's own mind. My mind is not ready. I'm stuck up with some other work upon an opinion. So they have given me an opinion whether to join a camp or not. So camping is a no for me for a weekend or a course of action. So it's my mind which says, and it's my mind which decides that I am not going and I'm not being a part of that. So the next definition about which is given by Robert Tanibram is involves a conscious choice or selection of one or more behavior alternative from among a group of two or more behavior alternatives. So where we have two or more behavior alternatives, we can decide either I drop out my plan of going out for camping, rather I'll go out and enjoy myself without giving any physical exercise or physical training. I will go out and watch a movie and chill out. So this is another behavior, this is another alternative which I have. Secular design says that decision making in the government is a plural activity. It's not a single person's activity. One individual may pronounce the decision. I might say that we will be working out for the hospitals will be open on Sundays. So it's a government policy that now weekend the hospitals will be open because many of the people are getting ill. But then I have pronounced the decision, but it's a plural activity. Many people are involved, the hospitals are involved. So, but many contribute to the process of reaching decision. It is the part of political system. So it's a part of the system. Now let's move on with the next point, where we'll be talking more about the decision making. First of all, when we are talking about decision making, what we are supposed to know, a very important, a very basic fact is that we are supposed to know to which problem should we focus our attention. So if I have a session now, I'm talking to you all, I have a session with you all. To some extent, if I lose something, suppose if I say, if I'm losing my pen, or if I lose my notes, or if I lose my charger, mobile charger, I may not be spending much of the time searching for my mobile charger if it's not going to affect my conference, or it's not going to affect my meeting. So I'll rather prefer to lose it rather than losing my audiences who are going to listen to me for the next 1 hour or maybe more than that. So sometimes it is to which problem should we focus our attention. If it's a minor problem, it's not a routine problem, and if the problem can be overlooked, just overlook it. I mean, if it's not making much of the concern, we can better ignore it. How much time effort and expense should we invest in solving uncertainty about the problem? So how much time, effort and expense should we invest in resolving uncertainty about the problem? So the time, the effort and the expense. If I'm traveling for so long, if I'm traveling for 2 days to be a speaker for a meeting, and I lose my charger, and I've spent 2 hours of my meeting or conference in the search of the charger, where my audiences are searching for my charger, everyone is searching for my mobile charger, so that won't make any sense. So rather, how much time, effort and expense should we invest makes a sense. What solution to the problems should we use? What are the solutions to the problem should we use? If I can have someone's charger, if someone can arrange a charger for me for the time being, or if I can purchase a charger which is not a very costly thing, or if there is a solution to the problem, if I have a battery which is gives me a backup, then I don't need to go out for a charger. I can search for it after my audiences have gone, or after I have completed my conference. Decision is a cooperative approach and subject to public scrutiny. It is a cooperative approach. Decision involves many people, not one, and it is subject to public scrutiny, and you are responsible for what decision you make. The next point is, we must anticipate future conditions and events and effect of our decision on them. So one example I gave, if I am in search of losing or in search of things which I have lost, if I'm searching for them and not continuing with my sessions, there is a chance that I might be losing my audiences or my people who are going to listen to me. Next thing is arriving at a decision. Where we are arriving at a decision, decisions are not subjective but objective consideration. That's a very important point. They are not subjective, they are objective considerations. Indecision is also a decision decided by time. If you do not do any decision, if you do not make any plan for your weekend, you will be at your place at your weekend. You're doing nothing, you'll be sleeping or you'll be watching TV. That's all is what you have decided by your time and by your routine. Delaying decision is also a decision. If you delay a decision, it's also a decision. If we say that not this weekend, next weekend, is also a decision. Decisions are not rational but based on various moral judgment and personal preferences, and sometimes incentives and personal profit. So this point is very important. Decisions are not rational but based on moral judgment and personal preferences, sometimes incentives and personal profit. So sometimes what we decide is not because of it's our personal preference, that I do not want to give any physical exercise. So my friends are asking me to come for a weekend for camping, and I don't like physical work, I don't like climbing and all those things. So it's a personal preference, I will avoid it, I'll go out for a movie. Second thing is about based on values, moral judgment and personal preferences, and sometimes incentives and personal growth. So if my manager is calling me to come for a movie and I'm not in the mood to go out for a movie, but then as my manager is asking me, I will have to go out for a movie, and it might be a few months down the line I will have the appraisal and performance. So I want to be in good books of and in his what we can say is that I want to be his favorite. So I will go for a movie, watch time and spend time with him, so that he is very much thinks that I am his person, and he will give me appraisal and performance. Next thing is about there are legal limitations, where secular Hudson says about legal limitations. What can be the legal limitations? He says budget. If I don't have a budget to go out for camping for the whole day, I will rather go out for a movie, or I'll go out for and surprise myself with a good dinner or good lunch with a friend or with my family. So that is what it says, legal limitations. Then the facts, if it's raining and people are going out for camping and for mountaineering, I will not be able to join them. It's the fact that raining, I will not come. Subordinates, there are people in your organization, the subordinates are almost your legal limitation. If subordinates are not ready, they are not financing, they are not ready to come out, then this becomes a legal limitation. Internal progress, and then further history and more. So this is what history also decides about the legal limitation decision making, that it didn't work out. Last time also we planned for everyone to come out and join us for a party, but then people didn't turn out, and most of our money from every employee was wasted. So only few joined and most of our money was wasted. So problems in decision making. First thing is which problem to solve. See, if my employees are not ready to come on the weekend with me for a movie or with for lunch, for dinner, it's okay. This problem is not that important. But if they are not working from Monday to Friday, this is a big problem which needs to be solved. If they are not getting work, or if we are not reaching the target, that is the most important thing. Determination of priorities. Priorities should be determined. What is important for us in decision making is our priority. Weekend is not our priority. Our priority is Monday to Friday. So our priority determination is very important. Competing demands. There are a lot of demands which are being competed. That we want some water purifiers, we want AC installations, we want our floor to be near the terrace, or we want a ground floor. So these are various, for our parking to be very easy. So these are various things which are very important for the employees, and we should be taken care of. Conflicting pressure problems. There are people who are not ready with who have a parking issue sometimes, that they have to park very far away and they have to walk 15 minutes from the parking area towards the office. So this is all creates a lot of problems. So this is conflicting pressure problems. Highly complex process. Decision making. Problems in decision making because it's a highly complex process. And involvement of routine, or involvement in routine. What we say is, if I'm parking my car, or if I'm parking my bike, daily coming to office, and I have to park it somewhere long, I don't have a nearby place to park. So people are asking me, where in the world are you parking your bike, or where in the world are you parking your car? And I have to say that it's I have to walk for 15 minutes and then I have to join my office. That makes a lot of difference. Bias in decision making is a big problem, because few of my favorites, they park in my area, VIP area, and few of my employees who are not my favorite, they park in some areas which are very far away. So they will have to pay for the parking, and they will have to walk a lot. So this comes under bias. Bias is decision involves discretion. I cannot favor everyone, so few of my favorites will get space, and few of my favorites will get those incentives and discretion. So sufficient awareness on part of decision maker. So there should be bias when we are having a bias. When I am giving a promotion, or when I am giving appraisal, sometimes I give 40% appraisal, sometimes I give 20% appraisals, and sometimes I give 10%. So it's a bias giving 40% appraisal or 20% appraisal to few of the employees. What is public intent and what is required of him? So what is the public intent, or what are the employees asking for, and what is required of me? So this is all what should be taken care of in bias. I cannot be biased to a single person of 20 people and giving 1 or 2 people around 40% growth and other 18 people around 10% growth. So this will not be expected of me, and this will not be a public intent. Strict adherence to the rules. I should be strictly adhering to the rules. That is what is important. Policy making, rule making is what we are supposed to do. Bias, a working part of decision. There is always be a bias which will be always involved with the decision. If 20 people around, if I have to operate an escalator, or if I'm giving permission to use the escalator, the people who are sitting close to the escalator should be given the privilege. So there is a bias where we are giving a few of the liberties in terms of decision. Bias from influence, environment and external forces. So there is always a bias from influence, environment and external forces. So external forces are the external organizations like the parking lot, the transport people, the cab people. All those people will always have an influence on, and they will always try to influence our decision making. Suppose if I say my office runs from 9 to 6, but then the transport people, few of my employees are taking transport, and these transport services will not be available from 6 o'clock. They will be either be available from 7 or 8 o'clock. So I will have to shift my timings from 9 to 6. I'll make it 10 to 7. So my employees do not waste their time. So this is what is called bias from influence, environment and external forces. So let's now move on with the next point, where we have bias due to personal preferences. If I have someone who listens to me and who is very much in my good books, so this person will always have personal preferences. I might not be able to connect with someone who is good at work but who doesn't listen to me. So this personal preferences plays a lot of role. Bias due to influence of administrator. If I'm saying it and people are doing it, I'm the administrator, and if I'm saying it and it is biased due to influence, it is due to my influence that people are doing it. So this is about the bias due to influence of administrator. Next point is bias as a result of fear as a consequence of action, that is fettered judgment. So if I say that the transport, if I know that transport starts at 7 o'clock, but if I say that the office will start at resume at 8 to 5, and after 5 you can do whatever you want, 7 o'clock transport will come. So it is a fettered judgment. This is as a fear of consequence of action. With 5 to 7 people or my employees will not have any work, so they will be almost doing nothing from 5 to 7. After office is closed till 7 o'clock, they don't have a transport if they are using some transport which is paid. So if office is paying for the transport and office is closed at 5, and at 7 o'clock they are getting the transport, this 2 hours, this is a fettered judgment, and there is a consequence of action of this judgment, which will be a further, which can be a strike or a rebel from the employees, or which may not be liked by the employees. Then there is bias in recruitment. There can be a bias in the recruitment, obviously. Let's now move on with the next point, where we'll be talking about the nature of decision making. Decision making is very much action oriented. It is value based. It is time based, that is delay in decision, ease in handling decision, then posing the right problem, resources and availability, and then further we have decisions against objectives and ease in handling decisions. So decisions are time based, the delay in decision, ease in handling decision, further posing right problem, then we have resources and availability and decisions against objectives, and further we have ease in handling decisions. So these are what we take care of nature of decision making. The next point what we have is what are the risks involved in decision making, the associated problems, what are we need an open system approach for everyone to be participative. So the next point we have is that the decision involves a lot of changes. Then further we have there is consequences of decisions, and then the capacity of the decision maker. See, I don't have the capacity to arrange everyone a cab after the office hours. So whatever I can arrange, I have a capacity, I have a limited budget, and I have there are various limitations for me, because other offices are also running, other people are using the transport. So I'll have certain limitations when it comes to certain things about making decision. Thinking of people and consequences, when we are thinking of people and consequences, this is the nature of decision making. We have to think about the people and the consequences, where everyone is going to accept this or not. Further, the process of decision making. What is the process of decision making? It requires specific objectives. Specific objectives is that my employees' time should not be wasted, and they should reach home at time, and office should be they should be working regularly at office with all their concentration and with all their work ethics and all their work culture. Identification of problems. Identify the problems. What is the problem? Further thing next is search of alternatives. If office closes at 5 and I have a transport arranged for them at 7, if anything else could be arranged, if there is a private third party which is ready to come at 5 o'clock, that would be a search for an alternative. Evaluation of alternatives, whether the work, if my employee leaves at 5 and I have a transport which is at 7, if I am arranging a third party, how much should I pay? I'll evaluate the alternative, I'll see whether it's working, and I'll see whether it's reasonably good. Choice of alternative. If I have some other alternatives also, I'll try to shift my office timings, I'll try to shift the transport timings, I'll try to arrange a new transport system for them, or if I can sponsor them with a new vehicle, I'll try to do that. Further is action, and then the results, then action of my decision, and then the results of my decision. So this is all what is required. So what is the process of decision making for a manager? Well, I'm a manager and I have to decide and I have to make a decision. May it be my employee's transport, may it be my employee's appraisal, salary, may it be a new contract. So I have to make a decision whether to take it or not. It's like one's mind over an opinion or over behavior. It's about one's mind whether to go out with it or not. It's about decision making. So let's talk about this. It's an objective. Then the nature of the problem. What is the nature of the problem? Whether it's routine or it's unspecified. So if it is a problem for some time, like it's about it, the problem happens only once or twice a year. Maybe employee wants a vacation on some specified time, let's say near the new year, when the new year ends. Before that we have a 2 day off or 1 day off for the transport or for the people going out. So this is not a routine problem, this is an unspecified problem, and this can be dealt with, this can be ignored. This is not a problem which needs a urgent solution. And it's a routine problem. My employee walks for half an hour daily to come to office after parking the car. This is a problem which needs to be solved. Operating conditions, if there are operating conditions where my employees are not happy with the installation of the air conditioner, or they're not happy with few of the few of the things which can make a difference in the work culture, then I should be doing that. Results expected, what are the results expected is the productivity and everything. Limiting factors, if there are some limiting factors which are helping us out, there are some machineries which have limiting factors which cannot produce more of the production, or if there is a limitation for our project, or if there is a time limit for us to use the office, then these are the limiting factors. Developing alternatives and evaluating alternatives. We should develop alternatives, we should evaluate alternatives, where we are buying a bigger machine for our office which will have much more of the capacity, then we should be able to evaluate it, and we should be able to see whether it is feasible for us or not, whether it comes with another budget. So it is limitations of a decision maker. The next point is the limitations of a decision maker. So now move on with the next point, where we have types of decisions and their implications. What are the types of decisions and their implications? Is rules, policy, then short term and long term, then technical, then normative, strategic, procedural, group, qualitative and quantitative. So types of decisions can be rules, we can make rules, we can make policies, we can make short term and long term rules. Short term rules are like, for this month or the next month we will be coming at 7:30 instead of coming at 8 o'clock. Normative is everyone should come at time, everyone should be there at 8 o'clock. This is normative. Then further we have is strategic. Strategic is somewhere we are talking about is this strategy where we are making it that few people will come at 8 o'clock, few will come at 8:15, few will come at 8:30. Procedural, there is a procedural decision which we are making is that everyone will be given a laptop. Group decision is we are making that we will be working on this Saturday for our work for reaching our target. So this is a group decision. Quantitative and qualitative decisions can be qualitative as well as quantitative. Further moving on with the next point, decisions can be proactive and reactive. Decisions can be taken by the administrator, which is proactive, where they can be reactive. We had some problems with the transport, we cancelled the transport. This is reactive. Proactive is we are facing some difficulties and we want to go out with the system. So next is prescription. Then we have what we have is structured and unstructured decisions, and programmed and unprogrammed or non-programmed decisions. So what we have is structured decision, we have unstructured decision, and we have programmed decision, and we have non-programmed. So whatever comes new, whatever is new which we are not having, which we are not facing any issues for since the past 5-10 years, this will be non-programmed and non-structured decisions which we have to take. Something which is coming new, something which is routine, which we are dealing with and which we have solutions and which we can develop solutions. Looking at the transport, what other offices have done, we can have it as structured solution. But now something new which is coming up, something new where the road has been closed or the highway has been blocked and the employees are facing a problem. They are coming by road, so let them take it by train, let them decide and let them see if they can commute by train. It would be a new decision. This is a non-structured and this is a non-programmed decision which we have to take. Next thing is about types of decision, where programmed decisions are routine, repetitive. They are the traditional technique would be habit, clerical routine, well-defined information channels, organization structure. These are all the decision techniques which are for the programmed, routine, repetitive things. Modern techniques would be operations research, computer simulation, and electronic data processing. So if I'll have to work it out with people, if they are coming by train, how much would we be paying for it, how much the employee would be paying for it, how much time and how much things. So this is out about computer simulation operations research, whether it is feasible or not. Non-structured programs are ill-structured policy decisions, where we have where the traditional approach for non-structured program, non-programmed things are like judgment, intuition, creativity, selecting and training of executives. So it will be depending upon intuition. If the highway is blocked, let them come by train, let them come by the train, and or let them come by some other route. So this is what we are saying. What the modern techniques would be something related to computer programs, like heuristic problem solving techniques and computer programs. So what are the theories of decision making? What are various theories? So see, the session is being a little bit going expanded because this is the session and this is the topic which we want to cover. So just listen to just go with the flow. We'll have 15-20 minutes here and there. So just spend 15 more minutes with me, and so that we complete our session of decision making. This will help you throughout your life. So theories of decision making, what are the models? Simon's bounded rationality model. Second thing is bargaining approach, participative approach, public choice approach, partition approach, garbage can model, apparent descriptive strength model. So now let's move on with the next point, where we have the next point which we have is that about programmed and non-programmed decisions. Decisions repetitive and routine are programmed. Each decision is not treated as a new one, and no ad hoc decision are called for detailed procedure. So these routine procedures are not new programs or not new problems, and they are not treated as the new problems. They are treated as the old problems. Suppose if the bus has not come by train, this would be a routine problem, that the bus didn't turn up, or the bus the bus conductor didn't have some problem issues, the bus didn't come, so come by train or come by a public transport, whichever is available. Second thing is recurrent and repetitive situation like salary, compensation contracts. Sometimes we have a third party which is not paying us, paying our employees, so this will be a frequently problem with them. So non-programmed decisions are unstructured, new, high, elusive, high consequences, and complex. So if I have a highway which is on which our transport works for our employees, and the highway has been permanently, you can say, closed, and now my employees have to take a route which is around 20 miles longer than the route which they are taking. So this is a problem for us, and we will have to search for some alternatives. So established rules and procedures are inadequate to deal with the new kinds of situation. And further, organization, innovation, and improvise. So how do we improvise the organization and innovation? Next point is precedents and procedures are generally followed in taking decisions. So whenever we take decision, what happened earlier with the same problem, with the same kind of decision, and what decision was taken, and whether it was working or not. So this will be always a problem, and this will always be, the solution will always lies if same problem has happened in the past, and if we can solve it with the same solution. New situation requires new activities and higher degree of risk taking. Now the consultation. So what can be the bias? Bias can be external environment, like the highway is being closed. Influencers, there are public transport people who are asking for higher charges per transport. Handling decision, it depends on the administrator, whether the administrator is ready to give that money or not. One solution leads to another problem, and the feedback on outcome, periodic review and revision. So there is a feedback which is always being an important part. Basis for decision making is non-quantitative basis like intuition, facts, experiences, logical analysis. Quantitative is operations research, linear programming, simulation, Monte Carlo, queuing, gaming. These are the quantitative basis, which is like linear programming, simulation, Monte Carlo, queuing, gaming, and operations research. Next thing we have is operations research. We have mathematical model, we have optimization, we have input output resolving quantitative reports. In the gaming, what is it when we talk about gaming? When we are talking about gaming, the first thing and the important thing which we need to learn about gaming is that it's a problem concerned with the action of competitors. Like when competitors are taking a route of train, So I'll ask my employees to come by train which is a little bit earlier, where they will not have much of the crowd, and they can come and sit, and they can have an easy commutation, or they can have an easy transport kind of stimulation, and use a strategy of least regret, where we are not losing anything. Monte Carlo. So this is about Monte Carlo is another form of decision making, where we have narrow form of simulation. Includes probability factor. Approach is predictive. What will happen in actual situation? So if I decided that highway is going to be closed and my employee has to travel 20 miles. So tomorrow, from say day after tomorrow, the highway is going to be closed. So I try to tell my employees to take a train route. So let me see what happens from the next week. So tomorrow my employees will come by a train route and let me know whether they are coming on time, whether they are facing any difficulty. So this is Monte Carlo. What will happen in actual situation? Actual situation will be from Monday, where the highway will be closed. So this is a Thursday or Friday, where they can take a train and come and let me know whether it's feasible or not. Linear programming. So now we move on with the next point, which is linear programming, which helps to determine optimal combination of limited resources. Problems as minimizing distribution cost and maximizing production. So linear programming is a tool which we use, which is helping us for minimizing distribution cost. Suppose my supplies go by bus or by public transport, and they are charging me higher. But then by linear programming, it's a tool where I can say that I can have maximum production, and I can have many rounds of my production going by train if the train is the most feasible route, or if I can have a third route or third party which can have me with a lesser cost give me maximum service. Let's now move on with the next point, which we have is queuing. Queuing is concerned with the flow of machines, work process planning, resources, efforts for effective production to minimize losses due to time, unused labor and waiting lines. So queuing is sometimes I have, let's say I have 20 laptops and I have 40 people working for it. So I can have 2 shifts for them, rather than having 40 people at the same time on my office. I can have 20 people at one time, and after these 20 leaves, I can have the next 20 sitting on the laptop or sitting on the desktop and working for me. What are the techniques of decision making? So a very important thing about techniques of decision making. Let's talk about the technique of decision making, where we have brainstorming, where we have synectics, where we have nominal grouping, and where we have the Delphi technique. So let's talk about the Delphi technique first. Okay, Delphi technique is suggestions are asked by knowledgeable persons to solve problems. I have a group of people, it's my team where I'm talking with them. I have anonymously suggestions are pulled and feedback report prepared. I'm giving them everyone a piece of paper and to give a solution for this problem. Let's say the problem is our transport. So let's talk about our problem being a transport. So what can be the various solutions which can be given? Someone gives me it's anonymous. Some people give me third party should be given a chance. Someone says train is more feasible. Someone says public transport is more feasible. Someone says we know few vendors. So these are all the various solutions which are being given to our problem. So anonymously suggestions are pooled and feedback report prepared. Second question is send with feedback report. There's another questionnaire which is being sent up with the feedback report, and then we vote on the ideas and generate new ideas. So there's the freedom of expression, where few of the things which are not approachable to the manager, like the few transport people who want to approach the manager but they have not given a chance. So these ideas can help us, and these ideas can help the third party to get into the external organization to get into with our organization. So this is it. Now let's talk about nominal grouping. Is a highly structured approach, people from different backgrounds and training. So I have different people who are coming, and we are deciding on this with the same physical location, and they do not directly interact while working together. So I have a few HR which are working, I have a few people from my team which are working, I have a few people from other processes which are working. Everyone is facing the same problem, and they are coming out with a solution. Now we have, let's talk about group problem encountered. Then there are list of ideas in writing, members present their ideas, open discussion, evaluations, additions, modifications, voting, writing to different ideas, and secret ballot after discussion and decision taken. So these different people help us in deciding about the things. They will give their ideas, they will speak about their ideas, then we will discuss about their ideas, we'll have a ballot paper we can have, and then we can finally take the decision from the different people of different processes and different you can say teams coming up with their own ideas and giving a solution. Let's talk about synectics. It's a third form of decision solving. So let's talk about synectics. Gives ideas to solve a problem. Synectics will give ideas to solve a problem. Ideas may not be related to the problem. Later, linking ideas to problem to see if they work. So we are just giving an idea. What people are saying is that let's have where we are parking our bike or we are parking our car. So we can have a third person taking us from the parking lot towards our office is a solution. So this is an idea which is not related to the problem but which can be linked to the problem. So when I'm walking from where I park my car towards my office, where I walk, it's around 20 minutes walk from the parking area to the office. And sometimes I have few people with we can say few rickshaws which are there, or we can have few sharing jeeps, or we can have a few sharing you can say few sharing vehicles which are being available. So if we are using them, this is not related to the problem, but then we can link them with the problem because we have seen people taking those rickshaws, so to see if they work. So Lindbaum says science. Lindbaum is someone who. Okay, now let's move on with the models of decision making. So when we are talking about models of decision making, there were various models which were being suggested for decision making. So few of them were Itzenios mixed scanning model, then Lindbaum's incremental model, garbage can model, administrative model of man, or behavioral theory. This is given by Simon Sayert Marsh. And then we have the rational economic model, ecological model, and then we have Dross optimum model. So when we are talking about the Lindbaum's incremental model, it recognizes the limitations of money, resources, time, politics, practical problems. It is diametrically opposite to Herbert Simon's rational model, which will be discussed later. Then he says existing programs and policies to be continued with additions, continuation of previous programs with modification. So if I have a problem of transport, so what Lindbaum suggests is that let the previous solution be there, previous program be there, what we can modify. If I am saying Monday to Saturday is our hospitals are open. For example, if I say Monday to Saturday, hospitals are open, this is a routine which has been happening for the 10 years. But now as the patients have increased, we'll open the hospitals on Sundays also. So previous program has not been cancelled. What we are doing is we are adding a Sunday to that work. So that is what Lindbaum says, that previous programs let them go. So in case of the problem of transport, what Lindbaum suggests that you come by your car, park your car, but then when you are when you're walking from the parking lot towards your office, when you're walking, instead of walking, what you can add is you can add a rickshaw, or you can add an auto, or you can add someone who can help you from the parking area towards your office. So this time is being decreased and your transport becomes easy and you do not lose much of your physical energy. The Lindbaum Science of Muddling Through is a very important article written by him. He recognizes marginal incrementalism and partial mutual adjustment. So it's a partial mutual adjustment which we are doing. Past experience and activities to make future decisions. I have been working for the past 5 years and I am facing the same problem. So now I am solving the problem of my walking. So this is what he says, that past experiences and activities to make future decisions. And actual decision making different from theory. He says actual decision making is different from theory because what we suggest in theory is that Monday to Friday we will get the rickshaw every day, but then there are limited auto rickshaws or limited people available with these things, so we'll have problems with that. So this is about theory and practice are totally different. Garbage can model. Let's talk about garbage can model. Garbage can model is given by Michael Cohen, James March, and Johann P. Oslen. So decision makers in their view function in organization anarchies. characterized by problematic preferences, unclear technology, and fluid participation. So in this garbage can model says that it's like a TV is running, TV has been switched on and shows are being, people are coming, changing the remote, changing the channel. So everyone has their problem, everyone has their solution, everyone has their preferences. So same wise organization runs, people are there working for it, people leave the organization, some new people join or some new audiences join. So this is almost like a garbage can. So decision makers in their view function in organization anarchy. They should function in the support of those people who are watching the TV, or those people who are a part of the problem. And there is unclear technology and fluid participation. So garbage can model is reality of choice. It's a choice opportunity, garbage of can. So various kinds of problems are done by participants as they are generated. So if you ask everyone in the organization, if an organization consists of 25 people, what problem you face? If you ask them, 21 people will come with 25 people will come with 25 different problems. Everyone has a different problem. That is their garbage can. Mix of garbage, mix of cans of different labels. Someone has a problem with the coffee machine, someone has a problem with the working area, someone has a problem with the transport area, someone has a problem with coming early in the morning. So this different mix of garbage, mix of cans of different labels, on labels attached to currently being produced. So whatever is troubling our work production, work culture, we should take a solution for that. Speed with which garbage collected is removed from science. So this is what garbage can model is perspective, how various unanticipated problems stems flows together to produce what happened. So if there's a fight, or if there's something which employees are being unhappy, so garbage can model can help us in understanding what happens. If there is no coffee in the coffee machine every morning, there is no milk, there is a problem with the coffee machine every morning, employees who are used to take coffee are not taking it and their productivity is decreasing. So these kind of things will always should be taken care of. They are very minute things. So this is what it says by garbage can model. Helpful in dealing real-time situations. Yes, it is helpful in dealing real-time situations. Boundaries of organizations are uncertain and unchanging. Boundaries of organization. So it is not about the coffee machine. We can have a tea machine, or we can have something else which is being supplied to the employees. Audience and decision makers change capriciously. So it says audiences change and decision makers change capriciously. Next is a very important model which we need to learn about is it is the only strict scanning model. Sometimes we have the weather conditions, like we have the weather report. Overall the temperature is this. In the few areas around 100 miles there is the temperature is this, the humidity is this. And then further we look at a very specified area out of that, where the temperature is around this and the humidity is this. So we have a broader area. This is the map. We have a broader area, and then the general temperature, the general moisture, general humidity, the weather conditions, whether it's raining or not. And then we have a particular area on that map where we are talking about that particular area. It's raining very heavily, though the region is not raining very heavily, but the particular area has been facing rains from the past 3 days. So we have mixed scanning, where some particular region of that area has rain for 3 days and where the whole area or the whole region doesn't have the rain. So it's a mixed scanning model where we have broad approach covering all areas and alternatives, but not in greater detail, and further we have a detailed approach that would focus on selected alternatives in depth. So it's like a weather condition where we have a particular area which is raining for 3 days, in which rain is there for 3 days, and we have a total area where there is no rain for the 3 days. So it has got a broad approach. So employ 2 levels of scanning. On 2 levels of scanning we found that. So what we need to know is, we need to know the problem in depth, we need to know the problem in broad. So it gives us flexibility depending upon the problem. Next we have the bargaining model. Bargaining model is the power. It's a decision making where 2 of the opponents are very powerful, where decision making is value laden and conflict prone. where we have sometimes we have the international boundaries, where we have two important or two major nations which are being separated by an important boundary line, and we have conflict prone and we have value laden, and which is it is bargaining model is sometimes in contrast with the national model. Okay, bargaining among key players then depends on power and skill of the proponents and opponents of the question of the action in question. So two powerful nations, their boundary lies with the same, they have the same boundary line and they are having conflict, and then it is bargaining. If both of them bargain, if both of them are like going backwards, not fighting, so it's a conflict. But then it is with contrast with the national model, where national model says to protect your land and to protect your country. Now we have participative decision making approach. Where we have participative decision making approach, it is ideal for political democracy. Everyone participates, all those who are affected by the decision. It can be taxpayers, it can be people of the employees, it can be employees of the organization, it can be clients, persons, customers. Then what is the value of participation is universally acknowledged. Everyone is been asked about the things, and the people who are outside the organization but who are concerned with the organization, then whole public or voters in a constituency. So what is meant by participation for this participative theory? What is meant by participation is being consulted for advice by someone who has the power to make the decision. It shows the decision making power. So we are consulting about the people who are involved, who are ready for third party transport, who are ready to come by train, who are ready to come by bus. So we'll have the list of those people. This is participative. And then further we'll give them the options. Next is public choice approach. When we are talking about public choice approach, what we are supposed to know is human beings are rational and seek to maximize things that are national to them. Public officials are self-interested, avoid risk taking and promote their areas. So about those areas, public officials will always promote their areas and their incentives and their growth. So human beings are national. Whatever is, I want my people in my area to get education, to get these videos to them. Rather than giving them out, I would prefer my areas and my people to develop and to learn and to have those activities done. Efficiency should be achieved. Goals and motives of the sectors are identical goals like equity and distributive justice. So public choice approach deals on equity, distributive justice, and further it is about the incentive of the administrator and those people living in that area. They should be benefited. Public interest in public administration. Public choice movements focuses on means. Begs is the most crucial point. So it focuses on the means. Now next point we have is Herbert Simon, a very important topic which we need to know about in decision making. Herbert Simon says something. He says we have value premises and we have fact premises. Value premises are emotions, and fact premises are the things that how the things should be acted, or how the things are acted and done. So let's talk about Herbert Simon. He says decision making process involves intelligence activity, decision activity, choice activity, and the task of decision. So what does the task of decision says? Task of decision says list all your alternatives, determination of the consequences, on follow-up of all alternative strategies. So what happens if I ask all my employees to come by train? What happens if I ask all my employees to come by bus? What happens if I give them transport, which is a third party? If I give a third party vendor to all my employees. So determination of consequences. If I give a third party which is being paid well, my employees will come on time, but then it will affect my budget. Then comparative evaluation of those set of consequences. Further he says comparative set of those amounts of consequences. So further Simon says towards organization goal, he says personally rational, orient towards organization goals. Herbert Simon is a kind of person who invented the term satisfying decision. So satisfying decision is a decision which is accepted but which is not ideal. For the limited knowledge, for the limited information, managers always have a short-term solution which is satisfying. it is not a permanent solution. So if, for example, my employees, 20 of my employees take the highway route, and now the highway is closed and they are traveling 20 or 40 miles extra to come. So if I give them a satisfying decision, is that a third pickup or third vendor party will come and pick them up towards the office and then leave them. This would be a satisfying decision for some amount of time. For some people will be agreeing to this because they will reach office at time, they will reach home at time, and they will have a good commission or good transport. So that is what is a satisfying decision. But ideally, if I can have a full-time buses from my organization, that would be an ideal decision, would be arranging my own transport. Alternative which is satisfactory or good enough. Okay. Organization as a value system based non-structured search. Further, we have factual premises, and then we have value premises. So Simon says we have factual premises and we have value premises. So factual premises is observable and measurable means, and value premises is an expression of preference. So when factual premises, he says it is done by empirical testing, validity and choice of means. For value premises, Simon says it is not subject to community. It is based on values and choice of ends of action. So further, Simon says humans behave rationally and decisions are made to secure optimum result. Intended rational behavior is what he calls optimum result for that. Okay. So now this was all what was said by Simon. Simon says managers always take a satisfying decision. They do not take an ideal decision. They take a decision which is agreeable and which can be worked out and which are almost short term. Like if my employees have problem, I'll arrange a third party for them, which is okay with, everyone should agree with that. But then if I can buy a bus, or if I can buy a transport on my own, or if an office has their own transport, this would be an ideal solution, because then whatever employees are to be, whatever time the employees should reach will be decided by the office. We can manipulate the timings, we can manage things better. But then if a third party is involved, then we have to somewhere correlate with the third party. We have to look at their issues, we have to look at their payments, we have to look at their budgets, we have to consider third party, which is not a very ideal thing, which is a satisfying thing, and the decision is satisfying decision. So now what are the assisted techniques in decision making? We have margin analysis, which is to add revenue to our production. Then we have cost benefit analysis. Then this is about the social projects. Whatever we do, we always do a cost and benefit analysis. What is the cost and what is the benefit? Experimentation, where we are doing assisted techniques in decision making, where we are experimenting. So we are taking about the cost and time, where I'm experimenting whether this project comes to us, whether my employee will be able to work on one file in 1 minute or 2 minutes, is an experimentation. Cost upon time, and whatever they are paying me, whether it is feasible for my infrastructure and my project and my company. Then research and analysis. This is based on information. My employees are sitting working for the file which are being given as a test, and they are working and they are seeing whether they are able to do it or not. Risk analysis, that is the risk of decision, whether I go with the project which we are being offered. If we are not able to do it with our manpower, with our resources, so what is the risk of decision? Then decision tree. So he says that the assisted technique in decision making says that decision alternatives are like branches of a tree. So decision tree, where we have the branches, we have the alternatives. Which one to choose is up to us. Preference theory. This depends on the attitude. If I have a few employees who can work extra or who can come on the weekend and do that for me, that is the preference theory. Decision support system. Then we look about the decision support system, and we look for the management information system. So what is it when we are talking about the group decision making? Positive aspects, pooling of knowledge and information, satisfaction and commitment, then personal development and more risk taking. So when we are making a group decision, what is the positive aspect? Is that everyone is involved. There is a lot of people who can share their knowledge and information. and there is a satisfaction commitment. Everyone is saying yes, everyone will be hiring a bus, everyone will be hiring a train, or everyone will be hiring a third party transport to come to the office. So it's a group decision and more risk taking. Then further what we have is, what are the negative aspects of group decision? Would be personal individual differences, following no personal responsibility, it is time consuming and costly, and problem of responsibility, no one is responsible for that, and individual domination, and there is groupthink. Group thinking is there. Individual domination is the administrator says everyone should take a bus, everyone should take a train, so individual domination is there, though everyone is not willing to. Now we have the last topic, which is Draw's optimal model, which is the combination of economically rational plus extra rational model. It has characteristics of economically rational plus extra rational model, and then it is rationalist model of policy making. Further, it is qualitative and not quantitative. It has got rational and extra rational elements which are used for meta policy making. It has got a built-in feedback, and it is rational to economically rational model. So Draw's model is optimum model. Optimally this should be done. It has got a rational model plus extra rational model plus few elements which are being added. So satisfying decision plus some more things which are being added. It is qualitative and not quantitative. It depends on quality. It believes in quality. And then this is rational to economically rational model. So this was all regarding decision making, where we saw the various models of decision making, where we saw the various techniques of decision making, where we saw various tools, and how to possibly generate the various alternatives. This is all we saw in decision making, which alternatives to take, which alternatives to choose. This is all regarding decision making. Hope you all enjoyed watching my video on decision making, and further it will help you in your decision making. Just think about whatever the problem is. How important is the problem? Is it worth your time, money and investment? Is it a routine problem, daily problem, or is it a sometimes problem which has come once in a while? So do not waste much of your time. If it's a routine problem, how to solve your problem? Just go list your alternatives. Whatever possible alternatives can be there. Once you have listed your alternatives, think about it. What if this alternative is used? What can be the action and the consequences? If the second alternative is used, what can be the action and the consequences? The third is used, what can be the action and consequences? Fourth is used, what can be the action and consequences? Now further move on with the next point. What is the personal benefit to me if I'm making a decision? How beneficial is the decision to my organization and to me as a personal preference? So see, decisions are sometimes not rational or not judgmental. They are sometimes personally oriented. They can never be rational. If I have a problem of train and bus with my residents and I am being the administrator, I will rather choose a third party, and I'll rather choose someone who can start from the transport from my office, from my place, and drop me to my place. So this is personal preference in making decision. Sometimes personal preferences and personal biases play a very important role. So now what can be the consequence and what can be the action of the decision making? That is to be decided. What will be the consequence if I make the decision? Will it solve the problem or will it make the problem big? And is the solution a short-term solution or a big-term solution or a long-term solution? So this is all things which we need to take care of. And is it really a problem? First, define your problem, define your objectives, define your alternatives, define the solutions, list about the plans about how to work about it, what consequences will be there, what can be the result about this, and how to deal with them, and what many problems which can arise out of the result of this decision or out of the decision what you have taken. So listing alternatives, checking, and then if you can experiment with them with your alternatives. If you can try an error method is one of the things which you can do. Sometimes it's a management rule. Strength, weakness, opportunity, threats is what we are supposed to take care of. We should list all our strength from a decision, all our weaknesses, all our opportunities which will come with the decision, all our threats which will come with the decision. So this is also a kind of decision making where we list everything. So when we have listed our alternatives, when we are doing trial and error method, this will help us to know whether we are reaching as a decision. So finally, decision making is a thing which can change your life totally. A single decision can change your life totally. I agree with it. So it's the most important part of your life. So this was a free session from Rohit International Training Academy, where we found where we saw various models of decision making, various tools of decision making, the process of decision making, and how to go about decision making. Thank you for watching my videos and subscribing to my channel, that is Rohit Productions. And hopefully we are open for enrollments for personal management and various modules, and this is a free session for decision making. Hope you all have a great day, and thank you for watching my video. Thanks.